Hey everybody, it's Brad. I'm back with another Floriani Total Control U video for you today. This is for my Floriani Club that we do in the store. Just put it on YouTube so that anybody can watch it. And today we're going to be digitizing a logo. And this is one that they came out with at Baby Lock Tech a few years ago, and they put it on T-shirts and gave them away during the opening ceremony of Baby Lock Tech. And I saw somebody that had digitized this in Floriani, Total Control U. And I was really impressed by it, and I thought, what a great idea to do this logo. So here's what the logo is. It is this. It's like a kind of tattoo style design, except you've got sewing needles here instead of like a skull or something like that. But I really like this design. I think it's pretty awesome. So we're going to digitize this, and this is going to actually be a multi-part video, or it's going to be a multi-part series of videos on doing this design. I think that we probably wouldn't be able to do this entire thing in a single 2-hour class, in my live class, so I'm going to break this up. We'll do this maybe over 2 separate months, but today what we're going to do is the main part of the design, the big fills and that kind of thing, and then I'll go ahead and finish the design in another video. So let's get started. If you're not in my class, in my physical class, and you're watching this on the internet, I'm going to put a link to this image for you in the description of this video so you can follow along, and that way everybody can be on the same page. So open up your Floriani Total Control U program, and you're going to hit create a new design. Okay, so just hit right there. Hit right there. There we go. Create a new design, and we're going to be digitizing this design from a backdrop. Okay, so we're not going to auto digitize it. We're going to go ahead and manually digitize this whole thing. And in order to do that, we go over to this little mountain scene picture right here. When you hover your mouse over it, the left-hand side of the toolbar, it says Backdrop Tool. You're going to left-click on that and navigate to wherever you've saved this file. Mine's in my pictures folder. I named it So Fearless. So I'll just type that in and hit open. There it is. And let's see. So the size that this is at right now, the overall image size is over in the properties 4.67 by 6.05. If you want to make it bigger or smaller, you can. I'm going to digitize it at this size because I think this is actually a pretty nice size to put on the back of a jacket, which is what I want to do with it because I really did like the way that lady's jacket looked. Anyway, so once we have our backdrop up, we're gonna just kind of take a look at this design and think about the way that we want to approach digitizing it. I'm gonna go over here and hit my select tool so that I'm no longer on my backdrop tool. That way I can't accidentally edit my backdrop in some way by moving it over or doing something like that. So I click on my select tool. The backdrop now is locked. It doesn't move anywhere if I click on it. And let's take a closer look at this. I'm going to use my magnifying glass and just kind of click and drag a box around the entire design, make it as big as I can in my design field. So looking at this design, I think that the first layer, so the first color that goes down, needs to be the gray of the sewing needles because they're kind of behind everything else, except for this part of this little banner here, but everything else is on top of it, and I want to do this banner as a single color, and most of it is, well, actually right here. I'm going to do the gray anyway. There's an argument that could be made for doing this banner, but see how it's on top of the gray at this point? So I'm going to do the gray first. But when I look at a design, I want to go in with a plan of where I want to start and where I want to start with the first color even before I start digitizing. So let's come up with a plan here. I'm going to do, I think, the gray of the needles, and then I'm going to do the dark purple of the banner, and then I'm going to do the light purple of the banner. And after that, we'll see where we go. I might do the white fill in here and the fills in the birds. We'll see how long it takes us to get all this stuff in. I'm going to be pathing everything as nicely as I can because, like I said, I want to actually do this design. So you'll get You'll get to watch me digitize the design as if I was digitizing it for myself, because I am. So let's see. I'm going to start with the leftmost needle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up at the top and digitize this, and then we'll travel down to here. And travel meaning we'll put in a running stitch so that the machine doesn't have to stop and cut or leave a jump stitch. And then we'll travel from here up to the top of this one and come down, travel up to here and come down. And then I'll do the same the opposite direction. I'm going to travel down here and come back this way and here. And it's going to be one long continuous stitch basically for all of our gray. That's what I'm going for when I say that I'm pathing a design. So let's go ahead and start digitizing. I am going to use the direct digitizing tools up here in this little blue circular thing. These tools used to all be loose, but in the latest update they put them all in this tool. So we're going to be using, out of this, we're going to be using the complex fill stitch, and we're going to be using the Runstitch. These are the two tools we're pretty much going to be using exclusively in this video. So if I say grab your fill, I mean go up to this button and select complex fill stitch. Okay, I may forget myself and not do it slowly at some point. And then if I say to use your Runstitch, it's this one right here. It looks like a little snake. So the first thing we're going to do is a complex fill stitch. So we're going to left click on this tool. My mouse turns into this crosshair here. And actually, before we start, if you want your program to work exactly the way that mine is going to work when I digitize, there's two settings that you're going to want to change. And that is up in Tools here and Preferences. If you've already changed these, then you can ignore this, obviously. But the two things that I have that are not the way they are by default is in Environment, I have a check mark here next to automatically select created paths, so you may want to do that. And under View, I have removed the check mark next to highlight selection. Okay, so if it doesn't look the same or your software is not behaving the same way as mine, just make sure that you have those two settings the way that I do. Okay, back up to digitizing tools, we're going to select complex fill stitch. And I'm going to start tracing out the top part of the sewing needle, and I'm going to start right here, and then we're going to go down, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to actually zoom in just a little bit for everybody else's benefit, and I'm going to stop kind of in the middle of the black here. Okay, and then I'm going to move over to here, and then I'm going to come back up right so that I'm parallel with my first click. And I'm just going to left click there, and then here I'm actually going to close the shape. I'm not going to attempt to draw this curve, okay? And just stay with me if you don't understand why that is. I'm going to hit Shift and C to close my shape, right? And my shape is automatically then selected. And in my selection box, I have this option right here. This is a shortcut to my shape tool. I'm going to left click on that, which brings up my shape options, which allows me to grab the middle of this line and pull it up, creating a perfect curve. Now, my curve doesn't match exactly the outline. So what I can do is grab these little handles here. They allow me to fine-tune my curve to get it exactly right, just like that. Now, this little line here, this yellow line, this is my stitch direction. And if I grab one end of it, you see how my cursor gets this little black dot on the end of it? That is indicating that it's going to adjust my stitch direction. They call it an inclination in this program. That's the stitch direction. So we're going to do that. And then the last thing we do while we're here is the start and the stop points. So the start point is right here. That's the green dot. I'm actually fine with it starting there. It doesn't really matter where it starts when it's the first object of a given color. We want to make sure our stop is down near the bottom here, though, and it is. It's all the way down here at the bottom. So once everything is the way that I want it, I'm going to right click. That generates my stitches, and then we're going to go back up to our digitizing tools. This time we're going to use the Runstitch, and what we're going to do is we're going to go from where the stop was on our previous fill. And we're going to actually, you know what, before I do this, I'm realizing I forgot to change the color. I do this a lot. I forget to change the color. So let's go back and hit our select tool, and that will select this. I'm going to make it a kind of a light gray. There we go. And now go back up and get your Runstitch again. Okay, so we're going to go from our stop point on our previous object. We're going to put a left click there, and then we're going to just go ahead and click right here in the top right corner of our next object, and then right click to generate this line. Okay, right click and Now that's already a run stitch. It starts here, it stops here. It does that automatically. If we want to check it, we can hit our shape tool, start and stop. The run stitch always works that way. It always starts at your first click and stops at your last click. It's very convenient that way. And then we're going to go ahead and do the next part of our needle, which is this guy. So back up to the digitizing tools and complex fill. We're going to put a click here and here and here and here. Close our shape with Shift C. Okay, and back to the shape tool. And we see that it actually has placed my start point. The program's pretty smart. It places your start point next to the stop point of your previous object that you drew. It does that for you automatically, which is very cool. I'm just going to pull these curves out just a little tiny bit. This is so small, I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit. Actually, that doesn't really need a curve. There and there are really the only two curves that I need, so that's cool. And then the stop point somewhere along the bottom is fine. Just remember where it is. I'm going to adjust my stitch direction to go this way, because this is the same way that I've got this one going, so I want to keep that going throughout. I'll right click to generate my stitches, and we're ready to travel to the next area of our design. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. And I'm going to zoom out again because I want to get all the way up to the tippy top of this next needle. We're going to go and use our digitizing tools and select again the run stitch. And we're going to go here and here and here. Travel all the way up to the top of this needle. And we're going to left click there and then right click to generate it. Now the reason that we can get away with this, that we can have a run stitch going all the way up here, is this is all going to get covered over by other stitches eventually. So we can freely travel here, which frees up the machine to not have to stop and make a cut here, like if you've got a machine that cuts jump stitches, or if you've got a machine that does not cut jump stitches, it saves us from having a jump stitch that we would have to cut ourselves. And the reason that you don't want to have the machine cut the jump stitches any more than is absolutely necessary is because that is a point where the machine is more likely to fail and create a shredded thread or something to that effect. And that's one of the main reasons that poorly digitized designs cause so much thread shredding, is they have unnecessary cuts. Anyway, let's go ahead and do the next area. So we're going to go up here, and I am going to grab the digitizing tools and the complex fill stitch. I'm going to basically draw this in a similar way to the way I did the last one. I'm going to go here and then here and just kind of travel along that. Now here I have the option of whether I want to cut around this banner or just go straight through it and layer the banner on top of it. I am going to do it that way for simplicity's sake. The software is sometimes confused by when you draw really complicated fill shapes. So sometimes it's better to have a couple of layers on top of each other, especially if it's a small area. Anyway, now we're going to close this shape, and we've got the same deal that we had over here where we have to pull our curve up, and the way you get to that again is with your shape tool. That's this one right here. This is our shape tool. We're going to left click on that, and we can grab the middle of our curve and drag it up, and then again use our little handles to pull them out so that it matches my shape perfectly, or at least as close to perfectly as I can get. And let's see, we're going to just make our stop point down at the bottom, which it basically already is. The horizontal stitch direction is fine. We're going to right click to generate, take a look at everything. Everything looks good to me. And now we need a run stitch going from here to here. Right? So what do? We go up to our digitizing tools button, use the run stitch, and we're going to just go here and kind of put it out in the middle of this space here. Okay? So that's our run stitch. It starts here, it stops here. Remember, it does that automatically. You don't have to check. It always does. And I'm going to draw my fill stitch in here. Okay, we're going to close this shape. Shift C. There we go. Use my shape tool. And we're going to pull this one down. Actually, let's take a closer look here. Yeah, so looks like this we want to... Oh, well, I have an extra point here. I'm going to delete that point. You can right click on a point and delete it. Kind of shaped like that. That's fine. My start and stop are good. My stitch direction is good. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to travel from here and go up into the top part of this needle. So that is what kind of stitch? Run stitch. That's right. If you said run stitch. If you said anything else, you're wrong. But Hopefully you said Runstitch. So we're going to travel all the way up here. Just one click here, one click all the way up here. We don't need to click individual click, 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 click up there. It's no reason to do that. And right click to generate it. We've got our Runstitch going from there up to there. Wonderful. And back to our complex fill, we go back to our digitizing tools, complex fill stitch, and we're going to draw our shape. So this is kind of a lot of space to overlap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of draw a rough in. So there's minimal overlap going on. I'm not super worried about it, but I don't want to have a really complicated shape for the software to try to figure out how to path the fill. So we're going to go back up to this point, and I'm going to Shift C to close this shape again. And back to our shape tool, this little button right here, it's like a spaceship flying towards a different solar system. That's what the icon looks like to me. And we're going to pull this out like that. It's just a left click on that line, and then move the little handles out to fix the shape exactly. It's a left click for that as well. And then we're going to left click on one of these to set this one to about a 45-degree angle like that, the inclination that is. And our start is up here, which is good because that's where the stop was for our run. And then the stop needs to be, we'll put it here. Okay, that's good. Now we need another run that goes to this little teeny tiny area right here. So we're going to go here to digitizing tools and Runstitch. Our stop was right there. We're going to travel down to right here, and this area we're going to actually trace this area a little bit bigger than it shows on the design, because this is such a small area that a fill it's not going to fill in enough stitches. We'll overlap it with the outlines eventually. So anyway, back to this. We're going to go and use our complex fill stitch, and like I said, we're drawing it a little bit bigger than it shows up on the page. Shift C, this is just 3 points, and then use our shape tool. Not that it's going to make that much of a difference with such a small shape, but our start point is right, our stop point is about there is fine, and there we go. So that's the top half of our needles taken care of. Now we need to travel down to the bottom part where we do the points of the needles. So I'm going to use my digitizing tools again and go to Runstitch, and I'm going to just take a run straight from here all the way down to the tip of this needle. Okay, just like that is fine. We don't need to do a bunch of clicks, click, 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 click. That's completely unnecessary. Just wear out your hand doing that. And I'm going to zoom in and use the arrow keys on my keyboard to pan back over to this part. So we're going to start with this part, travel to this part, and then proceed through the design as we did before. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my digitizing tools complex, and I'm going to draw a point here, here, and here. Now this time I'm not going to pull out any kind of curve from there. That's how I'm making my point, is with these 3 clicks. And then we're going to go to here, then bring it around, and this should allow me to close my shape. Shift C, and there we go. So I want a 45-degree angle. I'll use my my shape tool, this button. I want this a 45-degree angle this way. My start point is good. My stop point I'm going to put up to this part here, and then travel through to that. So we right click. That's good, and we're going to use the Runstitch this time to go from here to here. Okay, right click to generate that. Back to the digitizing tools, complex fill, and we're just going to draw a bump, 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 bump. Those bumps are clicks, by the way. Shift C to close that shape, and look at that. We've got our beautiful stitches. Use the shape tool to check our start and our stop points. Start point's good. Stop point needs to be up here though, because we're going to travel over to here next. And let's see, so we're going to put this at about this angle. Yes, that looks good. Maybe even a steeper. Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay, we're going to right click to generate that, and now we're going to go into the next part of the design. We're going to do the middle. So I'm going to use my Runstitch tool again, and here I can actually just travel right within this black line. I don't need to go up into the white. And then just travel straight down, use my arrow down key to pan to the bottom, about to there, and right click to generate that Runstitch. Wonderful. It automatically starts there and stops there for me, which I love. And we go back to complex fill. Okay, same deal. We're going to put a point here, and a point here to get my sharp pointy tip. And then up to here, and to here, and we'll go ahead and close that shape and just, yeah, that looks okay to me. Okay, so we've got our shape closed. Use our shape tool. It starts in the right place. It stops close to the right place. Horizontal is fine. This is the one in the middle. So yeah, this one's done. We just need now to travel from there to there. Back to the digitizing tools here. Getting the hang of this, aren't you? Click there, and then right click to generate. Okay, we go back to our digitizing tools complex fill stitch. That's this one. We just kind of draw, and draw, and draw. Now we're gonna Shift C, close that shape, and just to be in good practice, we'll go ahead and bend that down. Some of these areas that I'm bending, like this right here, isn't going to make really much difference at all in the way the design looks. But if I were to scale this design up and make it really, really big, you know, I wanted to take this design and increase its size, in that case it would make a difference. That was my chair. Okay, so start point there, stop point here. Okay, there we go. Wonderful. And back up to digitizing tools, and not complex fill stitch. Brad, what are you doing? Runstitch. We got to travel from here, and then I'm going to zoom out so I can reach all the way down to the tip of my needle. Right click. Okay, and now we use the complex fill stitch. Okay, and a clicka and a clicka. Oh, look what I did. I meant to start there. I'm just going to start over again. Alright, so click, click, click. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to take it down to this point. Just stay inside the black. And then close my shape. Shift C. Okay, shape tool down here. And adjust the inclination to about 45 degrees. And our start point's good, our stop point's good. We're good. Okay, so now we're ready to draw to get back up to here. We are going to use, of course, a run stitch to do that. Boom and boom. Okay, we've passed up to here, and this should be our last area of the gray. Complex fill stitch. There, there, there. I should have gone into the black a little more there. And then we're going to close the shape. Shift C. Okay. Shape tool, stitch direction, and the stop point and the start point don't really matter. The start point matters. The stop point on this one doesn't really matter that much because it's the last gray thing that we're doing. So I'm going to call that good to go. So let's zoom out a little bit and take a look at what we've got. We'll put it in 3D. Okay, so we've got the entire bodies of our needles are taken care of. That's wonderful. And all of these stitches that we see, everything that we see that's this run stitch, that's going to get covered over by other stitching and will not be seen at all. It will just be there quietly doing its job of saving our machine's cutters from having to work hard. Wonderful. Alright, I'm turning off the 3D. And so the next thing I said I was going to do is the dark purple banner. So let's do that and decide what order we're going to do it in. I think I'm just going to go top to bottom. I'm going to go here, 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 here. But maybe not, actually. Let's look a little closer. So if we go from here, if we start here, then how do I get to here without making a jump stitch? Oh, duh. All we got to do is we do this fill, and then we travel under this, what this outline is going to eventually be stitches, through the bird, which will eventually be stitches, through this lighter purple, and we can get up into it this way. That's exactly what we'll do. Very clever. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to go and let's make sure we remember to choose our color. So we'll go down here and use this dark purple, and then go up to the complex fill tool, and we're going to draw this shape here, 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 and then Shift C. Okay, use my shape tool and pull out my curves. So there's a curve there. Let's zoom in a little bit. Use my arrow keys to pan up. And there's a bit of a curve here. Okay, stitch direction I think should go this way. And the start point doesn't really matter, but the stop point does. We'll start it here and we'll stop it here. And we'll right click, see how that looks. No weirdness going on in there. It looks fine to me. So now we need to take a run stitch and go from here all the way over to there. We may as well actually just go all the way up to the top and then come back down. And then we'll travel through the outline to get to the other part. So let's go ahead and do that. We got a run stitch, travel from here through all this up to here. Okay, and then complex fill again. Just click on just the corners, Shift C. Okay, and then use the shape tool to pull our curves out. 3 of them on this one. Stitch direction needs to be this way. Okay, and this is so close together that the machine is just going to leave it as a jump stitch from here to, as long as we make our start point about there. So we don't need to do a traveling stitch for this. Stuff that's really close together, you don't need to do that. So there, 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 there. Shift C to close. Shape tool. We'll pull this down. I don't really see any other curves. So this one, the stitch direction should go this way. Start there and stop there is fine. Okay, that works for me. And now we need to travel down to the next dark purple. So let's say the run stitch, and we're going to go from here through this thick black outline. Oop. Just want to stay on the inside of the outline. Try to keep to about the middle of it. Right through this bird's head. And we'll stop it right there. That is our stop. Okay, so now we're going to do this shape. Back to the digitizing tools, back to the complex fill stitch. I think everybody's probably got the hang of this by now, right, everybody? Yeah, we do. That's excellent. Okay, so from there we've got a curve that comes around to here, and then a curve that comes around to here. We'll get that with the Shift C. Now this is a kind of a weird looking shape, but you'll see as soon as we pull out our curves, we've got that and we've got that, and it works like a charm. How about them apples? I love that they added the ability to do that. That is super nice. That was, I think, 2 updates ago that they did that, and made me a happy man. Alright, stop point there. Okay. Let's see. Oh, where are we going to go? Let's go from here. Okay, let's do this one and then this one. I don't have a really great rationale for why. I just had to decide, and I was sitting here being totally silent. So we're going to travel around this outline to about here is fine. Then we're going to use our complex fill stitch, and let's see, we'll do a point here and a point here and a point here and a point here. We're going to close our shape, Shift C, and then use that shape tool, pull out our curves. Now this is one we're going to have to use the little handles to get it perfect. There and there. Okay, and the stitch direction should be this way. And okay, let's actually move the stop up to here because I'm going to travel from there to there with my run stitch. So run from here to here to here to this like closest point where these two meet, and that is going to be just fine. And then we'll use the fill stitch again, kind of ignoring that there's a gap there, there, and there, and there. We're going to close the shape, Shift C, and then use the shape tool to pull out our little curvies. Amazing how that works. It really, really is. And our stitch direction should be this way. Okay, so that's our dark purple. Now it's time for our light purple. We're going to approach this in much the same way. Let's see. We're going to do this as a separate piece from this because there's so much bird over it. And then this is all one piece. Okay, so that's easy enough. So let's see. We'll do. Let's see, this has to layer on top of that. So let's. Oh, I'm using the wrong tool. Digitizing tools, complex fill. All right, now this is a new color, so we need to pick a lighter purple. And I'm going to go here to here to here to here, and then close this shape. Alright, and then use my shape tool to make the curves the way they should look. Okay. And we'll have the stitch direction going this way. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, and now we need a travel stitch. So where's my stop? It's here. We're going to have it stop here and then travel over to here. So run from here to here. And then we're going to do a complex fill here and here. This is going to be a tough curve to make perfect, so I'm going to kind of I'll put a point right here to make it a little easier on myself. And then comes around to here and here to here. And then again, I'm going to do one there and then one there and then one there and then close the shape, Shift C. And use the shape tool and go ahead and make our curves. There we go. And my stitch direction should be this way. Okay. Looks great. Okay, so my start's there. My stop I'm going to put down here because we need to travel down to the other part of the banner. And we're going to do that just like we did before using the run stitch. And we're going to follow along where we did this already once. This time we're going to come along this way and get into it from here. Okay. Now we've got the fill stitch again. Kind of a complicated shape again, so we're going to go this corner to here to about here where the curve starts changing directions, and then to here to here, and then in here doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered up, to here to the middle where the curve changes directions, and then Shift C to close the shape. Use the shape tool and start pulling out curves. Okay, that looks good to me. The start point's in the right place. The stop point doesn't matter because it's the last of this color. Oh, stitch direction needs to change. This has to be vertical, like that. Okay. Alright, let's take a look at what we've got so far. Awesome. Okay, so I think the next thing has to be the white circle, because the bird's heads and wings are on top of it. So we are going to use the shape tool this time. We're not actually going to use one of the direct digitizing tools because I want to draw this circle using a shape. But we can do the same thing that we do with the digitizing tools down here with the conversion tools. So we go to the shape tool and choose ellipse, and we're going to draw a rectangle, or we're going to draw an oval. And the way you draw a perfect oval or circle is you find the corner that's created by making a line come off here and off here, and then you click and drag. See how closely that mirrors the shape? Let me just lay that right on top. That's pretty good. I'll nudge it a little tiny bit. And smoosh it. And smoosh it. Okay, that's pretty good. And we want this to be white, of course. So let's find white, and we'll make this a fill stitch. Down here at the bottom is the other way to make a fill stitch. And let's take this whole thing in 3D, and let's hide our backdrop. I'm going to click on my backdrop tool and then right click and get rid of my backdrop for a second. So this is what we've got so far. And I think it's actually looking pretty cool so far. We've got the beginnings of our design. This video is already 36 minutes long, so I'm going to end it here. I don't think we're probably in class going to get any further than this. I'd actually be surprised if we get this far, to be honest with you. But I'm going to go and do part 2 of this another time. So I hope you enjoyed this much of the video, and you'll see when I post the next one. It'll be up. Thanks for watching. See you the next time.